Hello. Welcome to the Path of Mantra podcast, where I share insights on yoga, tantra, and Shakti sadhana. This podcast is dedicated to all sincere spiritual aspirants from East and West who embrace mantra as a core tool of personal and spiritual growth. You can learn more about this project on shaktatantra.com. My name is Giovanni Dinstman, and I'm your host. I invoke the blessings of my Gurudev, Swami Nikaleshwarananda, and of the Great Goddess. The topic of today is astrological mantras. According to many masters in this tradition, you should not just select a mantra from a book, or nowadays from the web, and start practicing it. For it to truly be effective, you need initiation. The position of my guru about this is a little different. He is much more flexible. He told me that even without initiation and even without a guru, if a person gets one of the sadhanas, the practices that they teach, and practice it with focus and faith, they will get something. And then when you get something, then you are interested in going deeper, perhaps getting an initiation eventually. But there are some mantras that don't require initiation. And one of these type of mantras are the astrological mantras, the mantras of the planets. Now, this may be a very strange concept for many of my listeners. Mantras of the planets? What does that mean? Well, from the spiritual point of view, in several traditions, and most definitely in the Hindu tradition, the planets are not just a piece of rock floating in space. They are living beings. And the physical planet is their physical body. But there is a spirit inhabiting that. Just like with Earth. Earth is a living organism. The planet Earth is just its physical body. And according to the science of Jyotish, which is Vedic astrology, the position of these planets and the movements of these planets affect how we think, what we do, and if the activities we are undertaking will be successful or not. So everyone has an astral chart. When you are born, when you take your first breath, that forms your astral body. And depending on the influences that are present in that moment from the planets, how they are angled towards the place where you were born, the city you were born in that minute, that shapes your astral body or your subtle body. And that will shape many things in your life. Now, in your chart, some planets may be strong and favorable. Other planets may be in a weak position, or they may be what is called afflicted, meaning that the natural function of that planet in your life is not working, it's not healthy. In astrology, they often say, this planet is not happy with you. So, for example, the planet Mars. Mars is connected with energy, objectivity, willpower, intensity, focus, and many other things. If your Mars is not well placed, if the Mars in your chart is weak, then these things will be difficult for you. So an astrologer might recommend you to do a Mars mantra, a mantra related to the planet Mars. And remember, to the being Mars. And doing that is a little bit like taking a spiritual vitamin. If you are lacking vitamin B, you take vitamin B. If you are lacking the energy of Mars in your life, you do the mantra of Mars. There are also other ways to address the planets not being happy or well positioned. But one of the main ones is doing the mantra of that planet that helps you clear that channel, that helps you enhance that aspect of your personality, of your life. And these mantras do not require initiation. So in this episode, I will briefly talk about the 7 planets and the mantras that you can use and why you would want to use it. Now, the main question is, which planet should you work on? The ideal solution for this is to get a consultation with a Vedic astrologer. If you just put your date of birth and time of birth and place of birth on AI and ask for things, and I have tried this in 4 or 5 different AI tools, it's not accurate. I don't know why, but it's not accurate. It gets so many things wrong, the calculations wrong. Well, there are many websites that you can put that information and get a free report, and that's accurate. But better than all of these would be to have a consultation with a Vedic astrologer. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. I have consulted several. I have my favorite ones, but it's something that you can search and find one that works for you. Because this science is very complex, and you need someone that can see all the layers. If you just get an automated report from AI or from a website, it may say like, oh, your sun is weak, so you should do sun mantra. And it may be true that your sun is weak, but that doesn't mean that you should do sun mantra, or maybe not initially. Because it may be that your Mars is very close to your sun, and so it says that your Mars is being combusted by the sun. The sun is kind of eating up your Mars. So what's going to happen? You're going to do sun mantra, sun is going to become even more powerful, and it's going to eat up your Mars more. So you're doing a mantra, and something bad happens in another area of your life because you have not been guided. So even for these astrological mantras, get clear insight on what you need from an astrological perspective. In the case of a person like this that has, for example, a weak Mars because the sun is combusting it and a weak sun, that person might, for example, first do the Mars mantra a lot and then do a little bit of a lighter form of the sun mantra. So as you can see, it gets really nuanced. In the absence of this astrological insight, you can go with the benefits and characteristics that I'm going to share next, experiment for a period of time, and observe the effects on you. If the effects are only positive, then continue. If something good is happening, but something bad suddenly also started happening, well, the mantra is working, but perhaps is not the ideal mantra. Then you can take a step further and seek guidance. In general, it could be a good idea, in many cases, for you to do the mantra of the planet, which is what is known as your Atma Karaka in Vedic astrology. That is the significator of your soul. So that's also one thing that you can look at. Atma Karaka is Atmakaraka. So now I'm going to talk about the 7 planets, why you might want to work with any of them, and then 2 or 3 of the most common mantras for them. And just a caveat that we are calling these the 7 planets, but it's actually 5 planets, the moon and the sun. So the sun, you would focus on the sun mantra, for example, if you experience low confidence, weak health, lack of leadership, father issues. If you want to increase your vitality, success, recognition, and leadership in general. So the mantra is Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. That's the Vedic mantra of the sun. And the Bij mantra which is typically more powerful. That's the case for all the planets. The Bij mantra of the sun is Om Hram Hrim Hram Sah Suryaya Namaha. Om Hram Hrim Hram Sah Suryaya Namaha. You can pause and listen to the mantras again for the ones that you chose. And if you have any questions, you can contact me via the website. Then, Moon. Moon represents our mind, our emotions, our intuition. If you're struggling with anxiety, emotional instability, insomnia, you want more peace of mind, you want more healthy sensitivity, emotional healing, intuition, these would be some of the reasons why you would favor practicing with the moon mantra. The Vedic mantra of the moon is Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. The Bij mantra is Om Shram Shrim Shram Sah Chandraya Namaha. Om Shram Shrim Shram Sah Chandraya Namaha. And then there's another mantra taught in my tradition. And this mantra is a mantra that I've practiced a lot of. Saum Somaya Namaha. Saum Somaya Namaha. Then Mars. If you're struggling with anger issues, with fear issues, with lack of courage, energy, discipline, with lack of assertiveness and poor boundaries, if you want more strength, more initiative, more of that warrior energy, you would work with the Mars mantra. The Vedic mantra is Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. And the Bij mantra, and Bij, by the way, means seed. We may have a future episode on seed mantras or Bij mantras. But whenever you see these short one syllables in the middle of the mantra, that adds a lot of potency, and each of them has its own meaning. So, coming back, the Bij mantra of Mars is Om Kram Krim Kram Sah Bhaumaya Namaha. Om Kram Krim Kram Sah Bhaumaya Namaha. Then we have Mercury. If you're struggling with overthinking, you want to communicate better, you want to learn better and remember better, you want to improve your intelligence, communication skills, clarity, you would work with Mercury. And also each of the planets are associated with different health issues. That's a bigger topic, and I'm just signaling this so that you can do your own research. The Vedic mantra of Mercury is Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. And the Bij mantra, Om Brahm Brim Brahm Sah Buddhaya Namaha. Om Brahm Brim Brahm Sah Buddhaya Namaha. And by this point, you might have already noticed a pattern, that the Vedic mantra of the planets is always Om, planet name, Namaha. The name of the planet Mercury in Sanskrit is Buddha. And the Bij mantra is always Om, and then three forms of that Bij, in this case, Brahm, Brim, Braum, but before we saw Hram, Hrim, Hram, Kram, Krim, Kram, so it's always the same. So it's the Om, the three forms of that Bij, Sa, name, Namaha. Om Brahm, Brim, Braum, Sa, Buddhaya Namaha. Then we have Jupiter, the guru of the gods. Jupiter is to do with spirituality, wisdom, deeper growth, clarity about your dharma, your path of life, your purpose, faith. And Jupiter can also bring abundance. The Vedic mantra is Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Or also Om Brihaspataye Namaha. Om Brihaspataye Namaha. And the Bij mantra of Jupiter, Om Gram Grim Gram Sah Gurave Namaha. Om Gram Grim Gram Sah Gurave Namaha. And there's an alternative Bij mantra of Jupiter, which is more tantric and more, in a way, more fiery in nature. Om Jiram Jirim Jiram Sah Gurave Namaha. Om Jiram Jirim Jiram Sah Gurave Namaha. Now, I'm aware that you most likely feel that all of these mantras are difficult. If you're not familiar with Sanskrit and you were not born and raised in India, all of this will sound very foreign. It's a little bit like learning a different language, but you only need to learn a sentence. And it's important to pronounce it correctly, so just go slow, and you can even, put on YouTube mantra of the sun and find exactly the one that I'm showing, and then hear repeatedly until you get used to that sound. Saturn. Saturn is the lord of karma. Many consider Saturn the most powerful planet in our horoscope, the one that defines the big phases in our life. You might choose to focus on Saturn mantra if you struggle with depression, procrastination, poverty, chronic illnesses, or deep karmic blocks. If you want to develop patience, humility, endurance, it's also helpful. And again, this is all very generic information. Your Saturn will be different than mine Saturn, and the same for every other planet. So depending on how each planet is positioned, it brings a different energy into a person's life. Saturn from one person may bring poverty, and for another it may bring wealth. For another it may bring intense spiritual growth. So the mantras of Saturn, the Vedic mantra, Om Shanicharaya Namaha, Om Shanicharaya Namaha. The Bij mantra, Om Pram Prim Pram Sah Shanascharaya Namaha, Om Pram Prim Pram Sah Shanascharaya Namaha. Finally, we have Venus, the planet of love, connection, beauty, creativity, relationship, arts. So if you want to correct or enhance your energy in any of these areas, you might focus on the Venus mantra. The Vedic mantra, Om Shukraya Namaha, Om Shukraya Namaha. And the Bij mantra, Om Dram Drim Dram Sah Shukraya Namaha, Om Dram Drim Dram Sah Shukraya Namaha. Speaking from my own experience, I've practiced the Moon mantra and the Venus mantra 1,000 malas, which means 100,000 repetitions of each. And I did that based on the advice of an astrologer that told me that these are the two planets that need correction in my chart. They're the ones that are not happy with me. And I experienced a great shift within myself as a result of these, especially of the Venus. Now, for you, it's going to be something else, most likely. I'm talking about what I needed and the power of these mantras in correcting certain energy imbalances in our life. So the step number one, if you want to practice based on this episode, is to select which mantra you want to work on. It is best, again, to select based on the advice of a Vedic astrologer. If that's not feasible for you, then you can try an automated report from websites, Jyotish websites. And you can also, hearing the benefits and the areas of each planet, you might want to choose based on that. That would be the third best option. Once you have chosen the mantra, then I suggest you practice it 1,000 malas. One mala is made of 108 beads, but we always count it as 100. So 1,000 malas is a general recipe for getting the benefit of any given mantra. In some of them is much less, and some of them is actually more. But in general, for these mantras, it is a really good idea to do 1,000 malas, to not expect much before then, but to know that I'm building up towards 1,000 malas. To have that milestone in mind. So how would you go about this practice? You could do 3 malas a day. That's going to take you about a year. And in these practices, in the mantra practice in general, you cannot miss a day. So if you did 200 days and you miss a day, start again from day one, right? Self-discipline is required. Now, 3 malas a day for these mantras, once you get the hang of it, let's say after a couple weeks of chanting, you get the hang of it, it will flow much more quickly. You'll be able to do 3 malas in 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the mantra and depending on the speed. So it's nothing crazy. Or, if you want, you can do more malas than that and finish it sooner. The Venus mantra for me, I did about 3 malas a day. I committed to 1 mala a day, but most days I did 3, and then I kind of intensified at the end. But let's say on average it was 3 malas a day. It took me a year. The moon one, I did 25 malas a day and completed in a bit over a month. So it depends on you. The more concentrated it is, the better. But again, it's a commitment that you make, and you can't break it once you make it. So make it in a way that is going to be feasible for the duration of your practice. So I realized that in the first 6 episodes, I'm talking about a lot of different topics that support the practice of mantra. But many of you may not yet have a mantra to practice. And most sources will tell you that you can not select a mantra by yourself, that you should go to a guru. So this episode is to give you a way to start, even if you have no initiation and no guru, and you want to start experiencing the power of a mantra. That's one way to go. Now, should you do the Vedic mantra or the Bija mantra? It depends on you. In general, the Bija mantra will be more intense. It's also longer and typically a little harder to pronounce. As a rule of thumb, I would say, choose the mantra that you resonate with the most, because you're going to be repeating it 100,000 times. So it's better that you choose one that you like. I hope you have found this helpful. And if you do commit and complete 1,000 malas of an astrological mantra, send me a message on the website and tell me what happened for you.